أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. Dear friends, welcome to Idea Foundation Forum. Today we will discuss the research topic Allah loves those who love mankind. Allah created the man as His beloved creature, honoring him with His own divine nature and status of His vicegerent on the earth with a free will. To perform His role well, Allah blessed the man with a befitting corporal body, physical body, acquainted with the earthly traits, and a spiritual personality by breathing into him from his own spirit to keep him connected with the divine nature. Since he was to depend on material endowments due to his earthly outfit, resources of the universe were placed under his subordination. All this magnanimous divine arrangement manifests Allah's love, compassion, and benevolence for the mankind. Thus, Allah desires the same feelings and conduct among the mankind, within the mankind. Allah's love for the man is conditioned with His love for his fellow being on some logical premise. In our discussion today, we will see how Quran describes Allah's conditioned love for the man. So, dear friends, in previous discussions, we have been referring Ayat 30 of Surah Ar-Rum, which reveals that the man is created on the fitrah nature of Allah. Fitrah of Allah, nature of Allah, which witnesses Allah's love for the mankind. In the same verse, the man has been ordered to adhere to Allah's nature, to follow Allah's nature, to emulate Allah's nature. Thus, our compliance to this obligation requires that our intentions, feelings, and conduct should be entirely and sincerely devoted to the love of the mankind with the purpose to seek the love of Allah. Ayat 77 of Surah Al-Qasas beautifully explains how Allah demands from us goodness or love for the mankind in the words, وَأَحْسِنُوا كَمَا أَحْسَنَ اللَّهُ إِلَيْكَ. Translation is, and do good as Allah has done good to you. Dear friends, Allah, creating the man in His own nature, assigned him, gave him the status of his vicegerent on the earth with immense powers, knowledge, great trust, and free will. In view of his role as Allah's vicegerent, the man was given a purpose of his creation that comprises of obligations, ensuring submission to the will of Allah and well-being of the mankind. Twin purpose. To accomplish this purpose well, Allah, besides the abilities of body, mind, and soul, revealed the Quran, final edition of the divine message, as a doctrine of faith and a code for well-being of the mankind. Faith and well-being of the mankind. If we go through the verses of the Quran, both sets of obligations, faith and well-being of humanity, have been twined in emphasis to seek the pleasure of Allah. If one's faith and ibadat could not transform his or her character and conduct for the goodness of humanity, they are hardly of any worth, as described in ayat 14 of Surah Al-Hujurat. Listen. وَلَمَّا يَدْخُلِ الْإِيمَانُ فِي قُلُوبِكُمْ. For faith has not yet entered your hearts, because you are not prone to the well-being of the humanity. Your actions are not reflecting the faith. The Quran emphatically elaborates conditionality of goodness of humanity to reach perfection of faith in ayat 177 of Surah Baqarah. Please note its words to feel depth of the message. I read it in English translation. It is no virtue that you turn your faces towards the east or to the west, but virtue is that one should sincerely believe in Allah and the last day of judgment, and the angels, and the book, and the prophets, and out of his love spend of one choice wealth, endeared wealth, for relatives and orphans, for the needy and the wayfarer, travelers, for the beggars, and for the ransom of slaves, to get the slaves free, and establish the prayer and pay the zakat. And the virtuous are those who keep their promises, when they make them, and show fortitude, patience, determination in hardships and adversity, and in the struggle between the truth and falsehood. Such are the truthful people, and such are the pious. Treasures of well-being of humanity and faith have been embellished, decorated as the ornaments of paradise in the verse. Thus, goodness of humanity is the baseline to measure the faith and ibadat. Goodness has been symbolized with powerful seed that grows into a huge tree full of shadow and comfort, as described in ayat 24 to 26 of Surah Ibrahim, shown on the screen. Have a look on it. The message is, what is the message of this verse? It is the goodness to humanity that brings peace, prosperity, and protection of human rights. And above all, the pleasure of Allah, the love of Allah, the Almighty. So, dear friends, the man was created on Allah's own nature, embodied with the divine spirit and the divine message, and a lot of powers and abilities, enabling him perform the role of Allah's vicegerent on the earth, aimed aimed at submission to Allah's will and well being of the humanity so that his performance could be evaluated, could be judged against his portfolio in this world to determine his place in the hereafter. Since the man's earthly elements breed in him, inculcate in him the earthly traits of self possession, materialism, self possession, self love, and self interest, distracting him away from his assigned portfolio. Allah desired the man to adhere to Allah's nature. Listen the calls of his soul and seek the guidance from the Quran to save his personality from worldly evil inclinations, and groom his personality into the mold of a faithful and benevolent one to seek Allah's pleasure and his love as desired in ayat 16 of Surah Al-Ma'idah shown on the screen. Have a look and focus on the words. So, dear friends, the Quranic message in ayat 16 of Surah Al-Ma'idah is very clear. If we want to attain Allah's love, His gifts of peace, glory, enlightenment, and righteousness, we need to pursue the ways that please Allah. Manittaba rizwanahu. Manittaba rizwanahu. As mentioned earlier, Allah's pleasure lies in surrendering of one's will to the will of Allah. To the will of Allah and ensuring well-being of the mankind. Well-being of the mankind gets further emphasis, much more emphasis, when we see that Allah's will too greatly subscribe to well-being of the humanity. The ways for seeking Allah's pleasure have been revealed in several verses of the Quran. However, in view of time constraints, we will reflect a few of them in some important contexts. Firstly, to seek Allah's pleasure and His love, one need to feel His pervasive authority over all the elements of the universe and the man. Allah is the light of the heavens and the earth. Allahu nurus samawati wal arz. One must feel conscious of His presence all around, everywhere. Each throbbing of the heart must be felt connected with the call of Allah. With the call of Allah, 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 Allah. One needs to remain grateful of His blessings. Secondly, to seek Allah's pleasure and His love, one needs to love Allah more than everything. Relations, son, father, daughter, brother, wealth, possessions, status, even much more than his own life. Thirdly, these are the passages to reach Allah's love. So, thirdly, to seek Allah's pleasure and His love, one needs to remove human sufferings and promote socio-economic equilibrium, equity, justice, order. The Quran gives great emphasis on balancing equating significance of faith and ibadat with charitable acts like providing financial support to the needy and helpless segments of the society. In the human rights context, special dispensation is given to looking after orphans and widows and freeing of slaves for the freedom of slaves. Spending on zakat and charity must be aimed, focused to seek Allah's pleasure and self purification only, and not expecting any worldly pleasure, gain, or gratitude from the recipient. Giving away wealth for the needy or hungry selflessly. Condition is selflessly entitles the donor for the love of Allah, while refraining from such help, such act of benevolence is severely condemned as described in Ayat 195 of Surah Baqarah shown on the screen. Please have a look. Let us also quote a hadith in this context. What a beautiful hadith. Prophet Hazrat Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, "He is not a Muslim. He is not a Muslim who eats his fill when his neighbor is hungry." Allahu Akbar. Fourthly, to seek Allah's pleasure and His love, one needs to have trust in Allah. Pursue Hazrat Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam's traditions. Ensure good conduct, justice, and steadfast for the right against the evil, and establish a just and peaceful environment to ensure progress, protection of human rights, and betterment of the fellow beings, mankind. For that, Ayat 31 of Surah Al Imran emphasizes to follow Hazrat Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam's tradition, to seek Allah's pleasure and His love in the words. Listen. قُلْ إِن كُنْتُمْ تُحِبُّونَ اللَّهَ فَاتَّبِعُونِي يُحْبِبْكُمُ اللَّهُ وَيَغْفِرْ لَكُمْ ذُنُوبَكُمْ. If you love Allah, follow me, and Allah will love you and forgive your sins. Ayat 195 of Surah Baqarah says, وَأَحْسِنُوا إِنَّ اللَّهَ يُحِبُّ الْمُحْسِنِينَ. وَأَحْسِنُوا, and do good. Indeed, Allah loves the doers of good. What is good? It is service to humanity. Ahsana also means to beautify. It means we are desired to do good deeds and to beautify our environment for the well-being of the mankind. Ayat 222 of Surah Baqarah says, إِنَّ اللَّهَ يُحِبُّ التَّوَّابِينَ وَيُحِبُّ الْمُتَطَهِّرِينَ. Indeed, Allah loves those who are constantly repentant and loves those who purify themselves. Ayat 76 of Surah Al Imran says, Bala man awfa bi ahdihi wattaqa fa inna Allah yuhibbul muttaqeen. But yes, whoever fulfills his commitment, his pledge, promise, and fears Allah, then indeed Allah loves those who fear Him. Ayat 146 of Surah Al Imran says, Wallahu yuhibbus sabirin. Allah loves those who are steadfast, determined in His cause. Ayat 159 of Surah Al Imran says, Inna Allah yuhibbul mutawakkilin. Allah loves those who put their trust in Him. Ayat 42 of Surah Al-Ma'idah says, Inna Allah yuhibbul muqsitin. Indeed, Allah loves those who act justly, honestly. Ayat 87 of Surah Al-Ma'idah emphasizes on a balanced way of life and moderation, disapproving unnecessary prohibitions to seek Allah's love. Let us look on the screen. Ayat 77 of Surah Al-Qasas very precisely describes the desired lifestyle for a Muslim to seek Allah's love and pleasure. Let us have a look on the screen. Note how it desires a balanced life here in this world and of the hereafter. So, dear friends, we conclude our discussion here. These programs are recorded both in Urdu and English. Their videos can be watched on ideafoundation.com.pk website or its YouTube channel and Facebook. Their written versions are also available on the Idea Foundation's website. Please note code number of this program, Idea 1B or 23 or lecture number 123. All friends are requested to subscribe the Foundation's YouTube web channel for the benefit of this noble cause. Thank you friends for participation. Allah Hafiz.